Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for tuning in today. I am Darren Smith along with Steve Walls, and we bring you the Kansas City Chiefs cheat sheet. We are live from Arrowhead Stadium inside the press box where the Kansas City Chiefs will be hosting the Dallas Cowboys in America's game of the week today. Kickoff is at 3:25, just a little under an hour. With me as always is my co-host himself, Mr. Steve Walls. Steve, what's going on with you, brother?
I'm good, man. You said America's game of the week.
Well,
Well,
that's
it's
that's what's
America's
being
game of the
advertised.
week with America's team versus the Kansas City Chiefs. So we'll see
Right.
how this thing pans out.
So, first thoughts going into today's game. The Chiefs looks like they'll be with Tyrann Mathieu in today's game. Take that back. The Honey Badger is playing today, but it does look like the Dallas Cowboys they'll be without their number one receiver, Mari Cooper, tested positive for COVID on Friday, so he's out for this week and next week's game. They're also going to be without Randy Gregory as well as Demarcus Lawrence still. So, your thoughts going into today's ball game with the players that we know that are going to be out of the ball game?
I think when the news came out earlier this week that Cowboys would be without Amari Cooper, I was like, oh, look at here, the Chiefs died yet again. The gods have answered prayers, right? It's so you get
Chiefs
you
are
get
looking up.
yeah, so you get Aaron Rodgers out, you get Henry Ruggs no longer with the team. Now you get Amari Cooper who's out with COVID. I mean, you sometimes things just have to go your way. And if you remember back, a few games ago, things weren't going the Chiefs' way.
Yeah.
They just weren't. And so now the coin has flipped and the pendulum has started to swing your way. And I mean, that's how the cookie crumbles.
Chiefs are coming into today's ball game after a 41-14 win at Las Vegas on last week. The Cowboys coming in off of a 43-3 win against the Atlanta Falcons that took place at home for them last week. Andy Reid is 18-13 against the Dallas Cowboys. Most of that record, of course, comes when he was the head coach at of the Philadelphia Eagles. Mike McCarthy's 2-1 against his Kansas City Chiefs team. Steve, the last time these two teams played, the Cowboys were victorious back in 2017, 28-17. Of course, Alex Smith was the quarterback at
Mm-hmm.
that time.
Mm-hmm.
The last time they played here at Arrowhead, the Chiefs had a 1-point win over them, 17-16, back in September of 2013. The Cowboys
I
have won.
remember that 2013 game because I think it was raining and that was like a Dexter McCluster big game or
Yeah,
something like that.
it
From what
was
I
a real
remember.
it was a real
Yeah.
sloppy game. Cowboys have won 3 of the past 4 games against this team. The Cowboys do come into the ball game as the top scoring team in the league, as well as the top offense in the league. Dak Prescott leads all players with a 110 passer rating. Mahomes is second in the league coming into today's ball game with 2,940 yards passing. Steve, of course, everybody, the chicks dig the long ball, they dig the home runs, they did, of course, they dig the long touchdown passes. Patrick Mahomes, Dak Prescott, that is the marquee matchup. Even though they won't face each other on the field, that is the key marquee matchup today for Fox.
It is, and you know what? I think the Chiefs have found the way that they need to answer for teams, playing the two over the top and not letting them get beat deep. They found a little bit of a running game, and not only the running game, but they've been able to get Darrell Williams involved. I mean, he had a little over 100 yards last week, and I think he's feeling confident. And one thing that it seems to happen with Patrick Mahomes and his wide receivers is when he develops confidence in you, he'll get you more touches. And now with that being said, I think he'll get Darrell Williams, even though he's a running back, more touches. But Clyde Edwards-Helaire is available today. I don't know how much he'll get, but hey, look, that's a good problem to have because we talked about the Chiefs being able to run the ball and get their running backs involved, and that's how both Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Darrell Williams, they both went to LSU. That's how they were used in college. And so I think that's their strength. And now that they've figured out how to use it, it's a benefit for both the offense and Andy Reid.
Arrowhead is normally a sea of red, Steve, but Cowboy fans was told that they bought up about 37% of the tickets. So there is a lot of blue that is disguised as red chairs today.
Yeah.
Of course, when you're coming through the parking lot, and look, just like Chiefs fans took over Las Vegas last week, it's not a stretch to say the Cowboy fans won't take over Arrowhead today.
You look out there, and the Cowboys fans have entered Arrowhead Stadium earlier than the Chiefs fans. I mean, to see the red seats, as you stated. But Cowboys fans travel well. Now these Kansas City Chiefs, they can't be upset about that because, as we know, last week they showed up in Las Vegas, and it seems like all that money they spent on tickets and plane airfare, they didn't spend it for this week's game. So we'll see. We'll see at the start of the game. We'll see how it goes.
Looking at today's matchup, I want to start with the Cowboys offensively going up against the Chiefs defense. Now we know again they're the number one ranked offense. We know what Dak Prescott has done.
Mhm.
He set out a game due to injury, or they were mighty careful. But Dak Prescott's numbers may not be as impressive as they were in previous years. But the thing is, Steve, what they've got is what they've had his rookie season. They got
Mhm.
that balance back offense, with the run game, with the run game with Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard. And of course, now he's got a plethora of weapons in the wide receiver. Now, again, they'll be without Amari Cooper today, but that just allows someone like CeeDee Lamb to kind of step up and to get that shine. And trust me, we know there's about 24 million people that watched that Green Bay Kansas City game. With Dallas coming here, all the hype leading up to it this week, you're going to get at
Mhm.
least 30 million, if not more. So CD Lamb knows that the spotlight and the opportunity to perform big is going to be on him today, along with Michael Gallup. And again, with that offense, Chiefs defense, they have been picking up the pace over the last three ball games. They've had played better. How do you foresee this chess match between the Cowboys offense, Kellen Moore versus Steve Spagnuolo in this defense?
You know what? I think the Dallas Cowboys are kind of playing with house money, so to speak, right now because of the injury to Dak Prescott last year. They really didn't know, how good he was going to be when he come back from that a significant leg injury, as we saw that was replayed over and over again on all of the sports shows. So I think right now it's like, all right, we've got Dak playing well, we've got Ezekiel Elliott playing well, and look, I don't want this Chiefs team defense to play the same way that they played against the Tennessee Titans, where they focus so much on during the week on stopping the run. They focus so much on stopping Derrick Henry. I hope that they have not put so much focus on that to where they forget about, like you said, CeeDee Lamb, who wants to come out and have a big game because there's no Amari Cooper. So it's like, all right, he's like, this is my team now. I'm leading this receiver room, and it's going to be something. I we saw the way that the defense handled themselves last week with the addition of Melvin Ingram. We know that this team is playing with, like all of them have been saying, swagger. They've gotten their swagger back. Uh, they're playing with confidence, man. And you got all these defenders there. And when you told me Tyrann Mathieu was going to be out, I was like, oh, that kind of made me give a head scratcher. But now that we see him out
Yeah,
there,
see
we
him
see
out
him
there. Yeah.
warming up. We don't see him with any limping or anything like that. So I think this defense is going to be fine. Now, if you told me you're going to run Daniel Sorensen out there with the starters, I would have said, all right. Now I may have to change my prediction, but you see Tyrann Mathieu out there, the leader of this defense. I think they'll be okay.
Looking forward, obviously, to the matchup in the chess pieces. I do want to see how the Chief defense focus and see how they switch things up. Are they going to focus more on Dak? Are they going to bring pressure to Dak Prescott and these wide receivers, or are they going to focus so much on the run that they'll have someone spying
Mhm.
on CeeDee Lamb or giving them help to cover them in case they go deep. I am curious though when we look at the other way around. Look at this Chiefs offense
Mhm.
against the Dallas Cowboys defense. Now the Cowboys defense did one of those Atlanta Brave type moves where they were one of the worst defenses in NFL history
Right, right,
last year.
right.
To come back right now, they're top 10 defense, and a lot of it is due to the rookie Micah Parsons and of course the play of Trevon Diggs on the outside. Talk about this defense and talk about our Kansas City's offense as a matchup against this defense.
It's interesting, man, because the offense has struggled first few games, and now, like I said, they are talking about like just like the Chiefs defense. Oh, we got our swagger back. We are the same. We're back. And I was saying earlier this week, and even on our Monday night show, I'm like, dude, where did the Chiefs go? Why is everyone saying they're back? I don't really feel like they went anywhere. Sometimes you have to take
Yeah, they
those.
take a little
You have to
break. They,
take you
they
have
take
to
a little
take those.
vacation in
You
the
have to take
season.
those lumps sometimes, though. It's like you're not gonna go out there and play perfect every game. If you did, then you'd be another team that's going now 17-0 or 16-0 the last few years. So I think Chiefs fans had got it confused a little bit, and some of the naysayers like, oh, well, Patrick Mahomes, he's overrated now, or he had those 2 years where he got this Chiefs team to the Super Bowl, won MVP of the league, and then won Super Bowl MVP. So now it's like, all right, they're clicking, things are rolling, and I think it just took a little time. Remember, the struggles were at the end of last year were why? Because of the offensive line. Now you got this offensive line that has started to come and grow into their own, and you got some young guys that are there. Now they're getting good blocks. They're understanding that they're able to run the ball. Like I said earlier in the show, they're understanding. All right, Tyreek Hill last week. What did he say post game? Oh, well, I figured out how to play when guys are taken away. I'm used to going 80 yards. Now I have to figure out
I
how to
wish
get
you wouldn't
open.
have said that. I really wish you wouldn't have, because it's like it's like you cracking the code, but you don't have to. You didn't have to tell anybody, because
Yeah.
now they're like, okay, well maybe we'll play them up close now, which is fine. But
Which if they
they
look
do
if
take it
they
over the
try to
top.
play, yes, if they try to play Tyreek Hill up close, you're gonna get burned. And hey, look, so much was said about the Chiefs letting Sammy Watkins walk, and I think that affected them a little bit this season. I really do. But
I
look,
agree with that.
they found ways to get other guys involved. I mean, we've seen Byron Pringle come into his own. Demarcus Robinson hasn't had the year that he's had previous, but I think he's able to play and make catches when it's thrown his way. And then the addition of Josh Gordon. I mean, we haven't really seen much of what he can do. Of course, he was away from football a little bit, but I think this week I think this is going to be a Travis Kelsey esque type game.
I'm gonna be honest. I think one of the special things about Patrick is, again, because he has so many weapons that he can utilize, and I think the emergence. I tell you, the blessing in disguise was the injury to Clyde Edwards-Helaire, because
Hmm.
it allowed the other running backs to kind of shine, and we got a chance to see what they can do when the spotlight. I've always said, especially we talk about that number two receiver spot,
Right.
that other players have the opportunity. They have to step up and take advantage and do them and make the most out of it. And if they don't, then let the chips fall where they may. Daryl Williams has been one that has done just that in his time, in his time spelling Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Again, a career high 144 yards from scrimmage last week, 101 receiving yards, 43 rushes. But again, he had 9 targets from Patrick, and he. I mean, he made Patrick look like a genius, because he had 9 catches for
Yeah.
101 yards. So
Yeah.
I think that added bonus, that added benefit. Again, we've always talked about Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the passing game, in the flats or whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, we haven't really seen it explode like we thought we would. But we saw Daryl, being able to run, being able to pass catch. That now,
Hmm.
now it kind of opens up the Chiefs' offense a little bit more, to where Patrick doesn't have to force it down the field. If he can dump it to Kelsey, of course he will. But if not, boom, I mean, at least off of last week, you got a reliable receiver in your running back, Daryl Williams.
Yeah, and look, they've figured it out, and it Andy Reid is a mastermind when it comes to coaching and play calling. Right,
Mm.
we talk about him after a bye all the time. However, they haven't had their bye, but he's just that mastermind that he will stay up late hours of the night, whether he admits it or not. I feel like he'll stay up late hours of the night trying to figure out and tinker with his toys that he has. He's like what was Geppetto. He's like Geppetto out there, and drawing up different things, and of course Eric Bieniemy, he's right there as well. And so I think they figured out how to maneuver and move the ball where they don't have to take the big play home run, like you said, chicks dig the long ball. They don't need that, because they've understood. All right, well, just take what you can get and line back up. That's what their motto is.
Chiefs will kick off in a little under 30 minutes, so to speak. About 30 minutes, they'll be kicking the ball off. We're live at Arrowhead Stadium inside the press box. Chiefs taking on the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys coming into today's game with an 8-2 record. The Chiefs are 6-4. I'm sorry, 7-2 record. If they win today, from the looks of it, I think when I saw earlier, the Green Bay Packers were losing. But if the Packers lose and the Arizona Cardinals lose, if the Cowboys were to win today, they'd be first in the conference. Chiefs have a good chance in moving up as well. If things fall, I think Buffalo is losing right now to the Indianapolis Colts. So if the Chiefs take care of business at home street, they'll be able to move up. Obviously, the most important thing is winning the division. But
Hmm.
6-4 Chiefs after today's game, they do have their bye week, so they will be able to go home and get fat, I guess you could say, for Thanksgiving, and work it all off when they get back next week. But looking at some of the keys to today's game, I think it's going to be very vital, very important that the Chiefs have the same type of ball game, see, that they had against the Raiders last week, where they were getting pressure on the quarterback,
Hmm.
they were able to force turnovers, but more importantly, Patrick was clean. He had 5 touchdowns, he had no interceptions in that offensive line, which cannot go unspoken. That offensive line protected Patrick, as they gave up 0 sacks.
I agree. All three phases have to play well, and also not only that, you don't want any turnovers. That's been the dagger for this team throughout the first few games, and they've kind of been turnover free. And I say that, knock on wood.
Not gonna
And
work because when you look at today's game, Trevon Diggs is one of those players
mhm,
that Patrick is going to test, and
of
you know
course,
he's going to throw, but
of course,
he leads the league with 8 interceptions. And Micah, and that's the thing too with that offensive line. Even though they didn't give up any sacks last week, Michael Parsons has the freedom to
yeah.
move all over the field. So you have to account. I don't care if it's a
One
running back or a lineman or tight end. Somebody's going to have to count for Michael Parsons to make sure he does not get to Patrick in today's game.
And there's one caveat to that too. You want to make sure if it depends on who Trevon Diggs lines up on. If it's Tyreek Hill, then of course you go at him. I mean you have to. But if it's another guy, if it's Byron Pringle, if it's Demarcus Robinson, I would lay off just because you don't want. But they're both young. It's like you don't want to be. Let's just say the Chiefs don't make it to the Super Bowl, and I'm not going to win again, and the Cowboys don't make it, and Trevon Diggs and Patrick Mahomes or some anywhere restaurant or wherever, and he's like, oh well, you didn't even throw at me. You didn't even throw at me. But we played y'all. You didn't throw at me. So I don't think Patrick wants to go through that, so he's going like you said, he's going to test him. But back to your point and your question, I think all three phases need to play well. Similar game like they had last week. However, one thing to note is that when you look how these Cowboys defense played this Chiefs offense, will they just try to go long, or will they be able to be patient? Will they be able to march 15 plays down the field and score the ball? They need to score first. That way they can take Ezekiel Elliott and this Cowboys offense. They have to throw to CeeDee Lamb. And then, if their defense, if the front guys, Melvin Ingram and company, Chris Jones, Frank Clark, if they're able to get after Dak Prescott, I think it'll be a long day for this Cowboys offense.
I think the key for me in this game, Steve, is going to be the line of scrimmage. I talk about it from time to time, but the Chiefs' line of scrimmage, I mean, they cannot get beat. That defensive line,
Yeah.
and look, and you hope that your quote unquote money players, big names, step up to the plate.
Yeah.
Well,
True.
look, I mean, you got a $20 million player in Chris Jones and Frank Clark. They need to get pressure on the outside, on the end. On the outside and inside, but then you bring in the Melvin Ingrams, you bring in Jaron Reed. This is the game. Again, when you look at the calendar, Chiefs win this game. It's looking a little bit, yeah, I don't want to
Worst to
say easy.
first.
It's 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 a little, and we're just going off a record, not underestimating teams, but but it's one of those things when you look at the schedule, Chiefs get past this, they're kind of turning things around, and now you can say, okay, they get things back in order, and
Yeah.
this is what we expect to see as the season comes to a conclusion in
Yeah.
January.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. If I could give you a score prediction, I would say 35, 35-27 Chiefs. I think it's going to be one of those type of games. You don't have weather to play a factor. It's going to be nice football weather, 50 some odd degrees, almost 60 in the sun. So I think it's going to be one of those games where anything can happen, but just it's going to be a 4 touchdown game for Patrick Mahomes, and I think Travis Kelce is going to go off today.
I will say that I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a high scoring game as well. I think it's going to be more. I think it's going to be much closer than a touchdown. I think it's going to be a 3 point ball game, 2.5 to 3, as Vegas is putting it. I think Chiefs get it out. I think it's more of a 35-32 type of ball game. I can't say whether or not it's going to come down to the end. The Chiefs could be up 2 touchdowns, and then Dak Prescott could get some calorie points, so to speak, to eat at the end of the ball game to make the game closer than it appears. But
Okay.
I do like Kansas City in this ball game. I didn't before a few weeks ago as we saw
Right.
how they were playing. But I think in today's ball game, I think the Chiefs kind of have a little momentum going, and I think the absence of Amari Cooper, I think they will feel it. I don't think they'll feel it early in the ball game, but I think as the game progresses, and I think it'll be better. I do think that the Chiefs get an answer to Micah Parsons as the game progresses. I think early on they'll have to fill themselves out, but I think
Mhm.
as the game progresses, they'll also have an answer for him as well. So before we get out of here, Steve, who are you wearing in
Uh,
today's game?
Want to give a shout out to Leandria Harden and also at Dillard's. She styled me at Dillard's today, or this past weekend. So want to give a shout out to her. And if you're looking for, something for the holidays, something for mom, dad, brother, sister, go check out them. And you can also they still have Chiefs gear. So if Chiefs fans are watching, of course you are. They have Chiefs gear where you can go and check them out. So I appreciate all those guys and also Leandria Harden.
All right, and so of course, for me as usual, I'd like to thank Todd White and Todd's Taylor and Clothiers shop. Of course, you can go out there at Ward Parkway. Of course, they're also located over on 21st and Broadway here in Kansas City, Missouri. For America's Game of the Week, Steve, I had to go a little different. I had to hit America with something they wasn't ready to hit them with a little ascot action today. So, but just like we definitely want to thank our sponsors. Definitely want to thank Gates Barbecue as well, who took care of me and members of the Dallas media as well as Fox Network today. I want to thank Colin Gates Shipley, and of course, one of the things that they have going on today is that go get you a double deuce, two ribs and a choice of 2 to 4 ounce sizes, $12.50. Go to all of the Gates locations. You can get you the double deuce for game day today. Again, we're going to be seeing about close to 80,000 people here at the game. The game is sold out. You can tune in about 25 minutes over on Fox as the Chiefs look to defend their territory here at GEHA, G-E-H-A as they like to call it, at Arrowhead Stadium. So for Steve Walls, I am Darren Smith. Make sure you join us tomorrow at the Soiree Steakhouse, Steak and Oyster House on 18th and Vine as we bring you the Red Hour with myself, Steve Walls, DJ Q, and Sean Tyler at 6:30 so we can talk about this Chiefs game and, of course, get you ready for the holiday season. The Chiefs go on a bye, so we'll be off after Monday for a week, and then no, we probably no, we won't be off because we have to come back and preview the following week anyway. So we don't get time off until after the Super Bowl. So until then, make sure you join us on our respective platforms after the game. Steve Walls and myself as we bring you the Chiefs presser with Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and select other players. And until then. So Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to be active in today's game as we just got to here. So for Steve Walls, I'm Darren Smith. Thank you so very much for tuning in to the Kansas City Chiefs Cheat Sheet. Go Chiefs.